And we're live. So this is the newest in the series called In Conversation with Entrepreneurs. It's part of our My Creative Spark program. And these talks are aimed at giving practical and sometimes emotional as well advice to young people in Azerbaijan who want to build their own business. And we have two women entrepreneurs with us today, Tatyana and Zumrud. And we also have a special guest speaker, Miss Emma Robinson from the British Embassy. Okay, now we are starting live officially at 5. Meanwhile, I just want to ask our speakers, how are you? How is the current situation affecting you? How is your life? How are we dealing with this pandemic at the moment?
I'm currently stuck in the UK and very much missing my home in Baku. So it's all very strange. I'm in an isolated farmhouse in the Yorkshire moors, hardly seeing any other people, but missing everyone.
What about you, Tatyana?
Well, I'm stuck in my house in Baku, actually. But like, you know, when somebody's asking me, like, you know, how you're, you know, during this quarantine, I'm like suggesting, shall we pass this question, like, you know, how we are? No, but on the serious side, I was just talking to Emma. I have two moods. One mood is like, you know, I'm constantly worried about everything, literally. And the second mood, it is what it is. And those moods are competing with each other. And this competition never ends. So whatever happens.
Well, whenever there is a difficult situation worldwide like this, there's also a way to look at this positively and explore opportunities that there are. There's new opportunities for online learning, and British Council, I believe, is also leading the way in this. There's opportunities to educate about yourself about various topics. And also one of them, obviously, is starting a business in this difficult time, which is, believe me or not, possible, I think. Zuma, how about you? How is life?
Hi everyone, I'm doing fine, thank you very much. And I'm also in the UK, I'm in Surrey, and since we are not in the centre of London, we don't feel the virus, like the whole situation. I would say it's pretty chill here. The territory is quite big, you know, there are parks that we can walk in and shops and all this stuff. And London is reopening, in fact, so I don't know whether there will be a second wave here, but everybody is pretty much outside. Other than that, I do agree that it's a great opportunity for people to reassess their lifestyles, their visions and mindset. In a way, I myself learned a lot during the quarantine, and I do think that especially when it comes to entrepreneurs, they should see any problem as an opportunity, not as a problem. So I would say let's keep positive vibes.
Great, thank you. Okay, people are already watching us. This session is live on Facebook. It will be available after the live session is over as well. And I want to ask you all, everybody watching, if you have any comments for us, any questions you want to explore more, make sure you ask them in the comments during our live sessions, and I will ask interesting comments to Tatyana Hanım and to Zumrud. For now, I just want to introduce this again because we're live and we're officially starting. This is Creative Spark in Conversation with Entrepreneurs sessions. Here we basically bring together successful entrepreneurs from Azerbaijan and higher education students, young prospective entrepreneurs, people who have ideas or haven't opened their business already, and we will give practical advice and some life tips on how to open and start a successful business, either in Azerbaijan or abroad. For now, I want to give a special word to our guest speaker, Miss Emma Robinson. Emma won't be with us for the whole duration of the conversation, unfortunately, because it's a very busy time for the embassy. It's a very busy time for all of us.
Sorry, Aina, you're breaking up, but I'll step in. Thank you very much for welcoming me. I am the Deputy Ambassador at the British Embassy in Baku, though, as I said, unfortunately not currently in Baku, but hoping to get back there soon. I think this is really important occasion to share views and experiences. And as Zumrud Hanım said, it's a time like this where we can find opportunities, actually, and innovation can flourish if we keep talking, if diverse perspectives are heard, and if we keep working at it. So just briefly to say something about the Creative Spark program. It's a 5-year program that supports universities and students in developing enterprise skills, and it works across 7 countries, including Azerbaijan. And one of the goals is to deliver enterprise skills training packages to students and creative entrepreneurs. And that covers anything from pitching ideas to starting a business, protecting intellectual property, or even securing credit lines. And the British government doesn't just offer financial assistance, but also support networks to help things with entrepreneurship in the UK. They assist with technical matters, manufacturing processes, import-export, marketing strategies, innovation, design implementation, and in guidance in legal matters. And we also try and follow principles of being environmentally friendly and socially beneficial. So it's a quite fantastic program, I'm sure you'd agree. Today, you've got a real treat because you've got fantastic speakers, Zumrud and Tatyana. They're both successful social entrepreneurs. They've got extensive experience, both in terms of entrepreneurship, but also gender issues. And they're also really good fun and interesting people. We hope that these talks will inspire young people to build sustainable businesses in creative and cultural industries all around the globe. Just before I hand over to them, I'd like to mention that it's less than a week since we celebrated International Day for Eliminating Sexual Violence in Conflict. And although it's not directly related to entrepreneurship, I think it is a really important part of the gender dialogue at the moment, and it follows the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security. And here in Azerbaijan, the British Embassy has funded a really important project to develop Azerbaijan's first national action plan on women, peace and security, working with one of the local NGOs, the Women's Association for Rational Development, or WARD, and working with another 11 institutions. And we're looking forward to the adoption of this national action plan, which will be a really important milestone for the country, and especially because this is the 20th anniversary year of that Security Council resolution. So again, thank you very much for dialing in, and thank you to our speakers. And I'll hand over to them now.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah, we're ready to start. But before we do have some comments already. Just lots of people saying hello. Okay, hello everyone. Osman is asking, what is the theme about? The topic is about giving practical advice for young entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own business in Azerbaijan. So leave your comments if you have any questions. I will highlight them on the screen just like this. I really like this feature. I think it's really cool. Let me just very brief words to introduce our speakers. I will start with Zuma. Zuma is actually the winner of our Study UK Alumni Awards, for social action in Azerbaijan. And, she also worked at various NGOs, and she's the founder of Gender Talks Baku. And, if you're looking for someone who can tell you all about gender and educate you in Azerbaijan, she's like the perfect person to go to. Okay, and she also has a lot of experience about building her own brand, talking to the media, and raising awareness and raising social action. And she will share some tips about that shortly as well. Tatyana Hanım is a founder and co-founder of several businesses, such as 100 Businesswomen of Azerbaijan, Scale-Up Accelerator for women entrepreneurs. And she was also the co-founder of Red Communications, which you might have heard about. She has vast experience in management, in marketing, in communications, and different topics relating to running your own business. Okay, and I will start. Tatyana Hanum will go first. Why? Because I flipped a coin before the session started, and we decided that was the best way to go. Okay, so Tatyana Hanum, can I please ask you to unmute yourself? I will push you on full screen, and we look forward to your presentation. I'm sure everybody will be excited to hear.
Thank you. Thank you. I think everybody can hear me now. Yeah, I have unmuted. Succeeded to unmute myself.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hi, everyone. And first of all, thank you for the initiative. I'm apart from our cooperation from British Council, I'm also kind of alumni of UK education, because my second education was in UK. I was studying communications after the engineering degree. So there is quite a big link. Other than that, to reintroduce myself, yes, I am the entrepreneur. I'm also the founder of Azerbaijan Businesswomen. We used to be 100 Businesswomen of Azerbaijan. Now I renamed ourselves to Azerbaijan Businesswomen, simply because there were too many questions if there are only 100, or when there will be more, or any other questions like this. So to run off, I mean, I'm in business I'm in communication since 1997, and in business for 20 plus years. And it is a challenge, it is a road, but I have to say that the road is enjoyable with all the stones, with all the sands and storms on the way. You have to be really taking the courage to go through that, because to eliminate lots of the stigma. And we are talking with you right now in quite challenging time during COVID. So, first of all, I would like to thank absolutely everyone who is on the front line right now fighting with COVID, because we are fine sitting at home and basically or swimming in the pools, but there are a number of people who are right now on the front lines and who don't see their kids, who don't see their families, just because they're trying to protect us. And 70% out of the medical workers and out of the frontline workers are women who cannot see their their kids, their families. And I know some of my friends who are doctors who cannot who cannot get together back with the families. So thank you enormously, and please for anyone who can help to to reduce the risk and to make the work of our doctors and the policemen and the policewomen easier, please do so. Try to follow all the rules, try to wear the mask. I have to sound that because we had a number of issues, and I think we are to bring this out loud, to make sure that together we really can fight it, together we can really cope with that, but only if that will be a common effort, not ourselves. I'm just on the way I'll be reading the comments. So as Einar said, I'm in a communication business. I love communications a lot, despite my first education was engineering. Communication was just kidnapping my heart for all the time, and this is how I started. On talking about the women in business, the most common question I'm getting asked is how difficult it is to start a business for women. How difficult is to start a business for women in Azerbaijan? And I have to say that in Azerbaijan, starting a business is very easy thing. Okay, it's like one window shop. You come, you register, you understand what you want. In other countries, more or less, it's pretty the same. So starting the business, it is as it is. It is not a challenge. Continuing the business, keeping it sustainable, developing, growing, that's another thing. And these are the things which are to be thought while you are well, you want to start a business. And the question which you would love to probably ask yourself is why? Why do I want to do it? Why do I want to start it? Am I really an entrepreneur? Am I really the business person? Is it something fashionable, or I really want to bring something in? I want to initiate something, okay? And that's why I love the theme of the social entrepreneurship, and the Zoom will be talking about that, I think, even more. Yeah, so like, getting to the business side. I mean, opening the business is quite easy, but then like, on the way, you need to be quite ready, like, to understand like the process which will be following. When I'm doing the trainings or the sessions for the women, when I ask them like, what was driving them, the biggest and common thing was, I love the idea. I was passionate about this, and I thought, why not? When you talk to men about the same thing, when you ask them about the same thing, they're being driven by money. And that's the thing, because business is about money, whether we want it or not. And that's, again, why I love social business. It is because, like, we can really create a profit for yourself, but bringing the best for the people around. And this is like, that was the biggest challenge, actually, the biggest difference between like, women and men. Also, like, if you're talking about what is radical, women tend to start the business later rather than earlier, because like, by the time they're already settled, grown the kids, and like, they are ready to kind of like, dedicate their time to the business, because it does require the time. Business is a hard work, okay? It's 24/7. It is not something like, you hire the team and you just like, stay in the seaside having enjoyable cocktails. That's not. Business is about people. And even the big businesses, if you will have a look, Apple, Microsoft, whosoever they are, even BP, okay, they are really represented by the people. They are being driven by the people. And when the person is changed, the business is changing. So like, when you start a business, you shall understand that your time will be dedicated mostly to that. And this is probably what's stopping women in lots of the cases from having from starting their business. But this is not an obstacle. That's the thing. You can do the business, you can start a business, you can run the business, but you can be the good mother, the good wife, and have the family. The thing is like, what is most important is never let your dreams run off from you, probably, like, because somebody is saying to you, oh, like, this is so difficult, how are you going to be managing that? Or when you have a family and you want to start something, they say, oh, come on. And usually when women, especially, at the early stage of the marriage or at the early stage of the motherhood, they tend to be afraid to start something simply because they're afraid of the risks and implications on what is going to be happening, okay, afterwards, like, how the family will be affected, how the kids will be affected. Men tend to take more risks on that because we women are more empathetic, but this is only thing which will save the world probably, like, in the future when AI will be overtaking this everything. So again, being the woman in business is not an easy thing, but trust me, being a man in business is not an easy thing either. What you need probably to shift is like, to start reading more, especially for the women or young women who really, want to start something. They need to start listening to themselves instead of following the stigmas and stereotypes, because unfortunately we are living sometimes in communities which are limiting ourselves, or which are building up us the borders, saying like, okay, if you're the girl, that's it, you're done with, like, I don't know, even if you go somewhere to work, that will be part-time, and the next step is marriage, and the next step is motherhood. And somehow a woman is just like, having her mind, or the girl have in her mind, like, the motherhood will be the only objective of her life. And this is like, I always ask, like, how come we're looking for the happy kids, but if the mother is not happy, like, we cannot raise the happy kids. And if the mother cannot, like, make herself, or cannot realize herself, or cannot make, I don't know, her dreams coming true in her life, I mean, she won't be able to supply the same life, you know, kind of love to the kids. So it's all interconnected. Let me just get to the questions. What are the essential steps for starting up the business? Strong business plan, Amel, and you need to understand the idea. Like, you know, again, back to the same thing. Like, you know, why you're starting this business? What makes your business different from the others? I mean, is it the thing, like, you know, that you just decided to go on with that? Did you analyze the market? Who else is doing that? Are you bringing some innovation? And what is most important, are you solving any problem? And this is what I love about today's business world, because all of the companies, both small and big ones, they will be looking at tackling the challenges instead of just, like, you know, looking at solving the solutions for getting the money. So again, you know, plan it properly, talk to the business advisors, and don't be afraid to invest in that before you, like, you know, before you start. Because again, starting is easier. It's difficult to sustain a business, and it's difficult to be growing that. However, always when you talk to someone, don't let the idea killers be the biggest part of your life. Okay, so it's all about the business advisory. I think it's mainly because of our mentality as society. Yes, the community and the society is playing quite a big part, because when we grow the girls, especially, like, you know, even in the schools, when we grow the girls and say to them that, okay, you need to go and to learn how to cook, and to the boys we're saying, like, you know, you need to go and learn how to fix the things, we are splitting them from the beginning. I mean, look at our copy books, look at our, you know, study books in the school, what we're translating to the kids, what we're showing to them, and in the family, what do we do? Like, you know, you're the girl, you're supposed to be silent. It is, but overcoming those challenges is possible. It really depends on you, number one. It also depends on you, how you can be supportive or communicative to the girls who might need your help or support. Because in some instances, like, you know, especially the young girls, all they need to hear is like, you can do that, go ahead, okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, and, like, you know, rock it. And that's it. And, like, you know, this is that's solving lots of the problem. Trust me, like, when we are doing the mentoring work with the female students, and we do that together with the ADU University, I absolutely love the project, because within like 1 hour, the women who are self-sustainable, who are successful, are helping these female students to understand, like, the basics of the success. And this is where we got the questions, and the questions are really not, like, you know, I mean, the questions are not so complicated. The questions are about, like, you know, how you're getting back, like, home by 12 at night, and what you're being said. What about the neighbors, what they're going to be saying? Or what about the relatives? I mean, they're basic answers, but we were raised, as the girls, we were raised that, like, you know, you can't do several things. Who said that? I mean, like, you know, who was setting up the benchmark, and who said that the woman cannot realize herself? That's the thing. I think, like, you know, the time is quite running, so I know, stop me, like, whenever you feel that you need to.
No, it's great. It's great. Thank you for the amazing answers, Tatyana. I have some comments here. I mean, there is one that I think is actually for me. You know, Ali is asking, which program do you use for this video chat? I mean, typically, I mean, I'm mostly answering questions related to this talk, but then I thought, you know, live video is part of a good way to run the business, right? So for this, I'm using something called StreamYard. To be honest with you, Ali, you know, I use like already like 4 or 5 different video platforms for live conversations, because I think in this life, to be successful, you need to try new things, okay? As humans, we're probably probably programmed to do things we know rather than, explore and find out what's out there. Sometimes you go to the store even and you want to buy like a soft drink or something, and you buy the one that you're always buying, right? But sometimes to find the best, you need to experiment and figure out different things and try to set them up. And it can be challenging. It can be even a little bit scary, but it's part of development, right? Okay, that's enough rambling from my side, I think. And I will pass the word now to Zumrud. Okay, Zumrud, will you unmute yourself?
Yes, I will, with pleasure.
And I will add a presentation because Zumrud has a presentation. And I will add it, I will make it full screen. While watching that, Zumrud, please tell me when to change the slide. I won't be able to see anything else. And I will get back to comments after we're done with the presentation. Can only do one thing at a time. So
you're great.
Let's do it.
Oh, so you have to go to the first slide.
I know.
Okay. So thank you very much, Tatyana, for bringing up very important points and generally touching this concern in Azerbaijan regarding women and business as such, especially when it comes to mothers. I will touch more on what is social entrepreneurship, what is not social entrepreneurship, what I am doing, and how I became one, because up until recent, I wasn't a social entrepreneur. In fact, I was very much involved in social projects, but I never started doing something, business-wise or selling or just finding a product or idea that could make profit and then reinvest it basically into social projects again. So I know if you just go to another slide, to the second slide. I've been working in Azerbaijan for 5 years. As I said, I've been heavily involved in social projects, and I've been working for different non-governmental organizations, cooperating with governmental organizations. I was actually participating at the presentation of the action plan with Ward about women and peace and security. And I'm basically promoting and mainstreaming gender at all the possible levels with all the possible ways. Next slide, please. So yeah, I won a social impact award, and I gained an opportunity to develop myself as it was part of the award. I will be attending a course at Cambridge Uni on entrepreneurship, and I will be more than happy to share anything I'll learn from that course with everybody else in Azerbaijan. And I'm also attending a course with the University of Arts in London, learning graphic design and illustration, and I will basically use that knowledge to tell the stories of young girls and women and promote gender equality. So let's just go ahead. I found out in Oxfam's report that the world's 85 richest people own more wealth than 3.5 billion poorest people, which is basically half of the world's population. And of course, this number is extremely concerning in a way, because I can't imagine few people having more wealth than billions of people in the world. So there is something that needs to change in the system. People need to change their approach and distribute the wealth accordingly, so that many people have access to it and benefit from it. Next slide, please. And I would like to highlight that what social enterprise is not. It's not a commercial enterprise, it's not a charity, it's not a public institution, and it's not a non-governmental organization. It's something different. This is like a good picture that kind of reflects what it entails in a way. It's obviously interrelated with lots of areas, and the main idea is basically using the business for the social benefit. Next slide, please. As I said, using the business idea as such, the business as we know for social change. It resolves social problems through the market strategies. I think Tatyana highlighted very well that you do need business model, and you just need to apply it, to apply social kind of side of it, so that you have a social business in a way. And the profit is obviously reinvested into social problem that you're trying to tackle. The benefits is, sorry, I missed the letter T, transformation of capitalism. As a young feminist, I am advocating for system change, and capitalism is not something I like and promote. And ideally, I want, obviously, the system to be changed. When it comes to benefits of social entrepreneurship, which changes capitalism in a way, it means where success is measured by the social impact you make rather than how much money and profit you make. So it's a bit different kind of approach and measurement on what is success in this world. Instead of owning things, we share things, we create social cohesion instead of material wealth and money in a way. And I have a good example here of Snapcar, which is a social enterprise in Netherlands. The idea of Snapcar is basically for people to share their cars, which they don't use very often. So if you have a car and your city is quite walkable and you use bicycle and stuff, your neighbor might need it at some point, and you're more than happy to share it with them. So you can join the application and share it. And apparently the founders say that there were around 500,000 users of this app. So it was quite an app. And the best thing about social enterprise, sorry, Einar, go back, is that you don't have to graduate from a business school or something. You can also support it easily because it's totally related to society that you sell it to, that will hear your story and support you. And here, of course, the society's role is extremely important as well. Every social entrepreneur has its own theory of change. So my theory of change starts through gender equality, basically. Impact that you make is the major driver and measure. Social entrepreneurs want to create that change through a viable business model. So actually having some kind of understanding of how businesses are run and done are important. You can find a lot of literature, a lot of YouTube videos available according, like, that would suit your idea, basically. Through a market-based solution and strategy, you can make some money. And this means that you can scale your solution if the business will grow as well. And I would like to highlight that the most ambitious social entrepreneurs want a systemic change, which is quite exciting in my opinion. Next slide, please. Here are the problems that I want to highlight for you that you might want to think about when you would want to start the business or develop an idea. Divorces are widespread, drug use, benefit dependency, low preschool enrollment, early marriages, etc. Einar, were you saying something?
No.
Okay, you can go ahead. Next slide, please. And then I thought I'm going to pause here, but no need, so we might as well continue. I think it's a global movement, and nowadays many people actually think of becoming a social entrepreneur because they like the stories behind, and they like the impact they make, and they like seeing the results. So as Einar said, trying new things actually makes us happy, and helping people makes us happy. We get endorphins. How my husband calls them dolphins. So it gives us endorphins and makes us happy. And one of the recommendations that I would like to give, and I'm trying to stick to ideally, is to divide your day and basically be productive, not throughout the day, but like have your leisure time, self-development time, and family time. That way you will be successful and happy at the same time. Because I had a depression at some point, and I really don't recommend you to go through that. Just avoid it by managing your time and day better. Next slide, please. Can you actually go back? Sorry, I had an interesting number. Apparently, globally, there are an estimated 210 million social entrepreneurs, and they are trying to solve world's problems, and one of them is Bill Gates, that I will actually talk about very little, so you can go ahead. Another interesting point is that women starting a social enterprise is itself contributed to women's empowerment. So the reason why I really support that idea is because it does actually promote gender equality in a way. However, next slide. Social enterprise is an underutilized source of funding for gender equality. Unfortunately, a lot of women's rights organizations, they don't know how to make an income and how to basically reuse that income. So that's kind of the gap that we need to fill in a way in the future. Next slide, please. I would say starting a business. You love the picture, is that what you said?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, and I think Tatyana wants to come back in our... Another point is to have a vision. So my vision is to promote gender equality, and I do it through different means. And I would recommend you to have your own vision for yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to have planned for 5 years straight away. It means just to sit and think, where do you see yourself in a way, and what makes you happy, and how you can use that all to benefit society as well. Next slide, please. And can you go to another slide? Actually, I will start with another slide. So I personally, talking about social entrepreneurship, as I said, I wasn't a social entrepreneur up until recent. I decided to start a bag business, which you can see on the photo. I have it here with me too, actually. I started selling them and making them. The idea is basically create a unique bags, basically bespoken, tailored bags for each customer, maybe. That's kind of the idea at the moment, and use that profit for the social projects that I really want to implement and people suggest to implement, basically. The unique part of this bags is basically using guitar straps. I absolutely love guitar. I used to play guitar, but I completely forgot how to do it. But I might go back and learn again the skills. So the idea is using unique guitar straps and having a nice model, nice colors that people can wear, women, I assume, can wear in their everyday life. It's extremely comfortable bag. It doesn't soak in the rain. It has different colors. At the moment, I'm developing a bag with a guitar strap of Picasso's drawings, and you can also choose any patches that you would like. So this is what I'm doing at the moment, and feel free to order any if you want on eBay. Can you go back? Right, and then back again.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so my idea at the moment to use that profit to invest into another social project that I came up with and working on with a great illustrator at the moment. We are developing a gender equality puzzle. It's going to look something like that, and it's going to feature our sightseeings and streets of Azerbaijan with important messages. And it's going to be basically an educative puzzle for children and maybe even adults. Next, please. Some examples from Netherlands on social entrepreneurship. Text to Change. Apparently, the social entrepreneurs, they started to pilot this project in Africa, and the point was that people couldn't get access to health, basically, to clinics and do their checkups. They decided to allow people to go through the tests, through the messages, and many people, of course, didn't believe in this idea, and you will hear it a lot. People don't believe in ideas, but you have to believe in your own idea and pursue it no matter what, and do it continuously, basically. If it's not continuous, then you might as well fail straight away. And apparently they received 32 million messages that year, and 70, and I don't remember the exact number, but a lot of people, around 30-40% of people through that test had to go and actually take a test on HIV and other infections, basically. I'm so sorry. It was basically about sexually transmitted diseases and some infections. Then Specialistern, can you go back, please? Another interesting social enterprise. this social entrepreneur employs only autistic people because he believes that autistic people have a lot of talent, and they just need to integrate into society, and unfortunately that integration goes slow. So he started this company, and in this company only autistic people work, and what they do, they test softwares, and that works successfully too, actually. Next slide, please. This is a small reminder that management is doing the things right. Leadership is doing the right things. So social entrepreneur is the leader who should do the right things for the society, in my opinion, and in Peter Drucker's opinion. Some of the examples of the social entrepreneurs that are popular: Florence Nightingale, British nurse. She is the founder of modern nursing practices, and she's the example of the social entrepreneur in past. She also started this diagram that you can see, which is called Nightingale Rose, actually. And this diagram basically helped to identify why people during the war die. And she basically showed that apparently they don't die from shootings and killings. They die more of poor sanitation and hygiene. So that was interesting thing about her. Next, Gwendolyn Birchall, very popular in Azerbaijan. She's the founder of United Aid for Azerbaijan. And it's already functioning 20 years. They're promoting social work and helping disabled children and families who are struggling with their children who can't integrate into public schools and etc. I highly recommend to read about their work. Sara Rajabli is also a popular social entrepreneur. She basically started her idea about homemade sweets, working with disabled women, or women with special needs, as they call it. Sorry for my language. And the main mission is to solve unemployment problem among women who are sitting at home and have some skills to use. Please feel free to order from Sarah and her team when you have events. That's very important. As I mentioned before, it's very important for the society, for us, to support the social entrepreneurs. Next. Bill Gates is an amazing example of the world social entrepreneur. So he's like a global social entrepreneur. He started his foundation with his wife, Melinda Gates, and they're doing an amazing job around the world, building a lot of social projects. Sorry, I received a message. Okay, next. This was some of the pictures that I wanted to share with you about the project that I implemented together with Counterpart International and USAID in the regions of Azerbaijan, where we promoted digital marketing, entrepreneurship, and leadership among young girls and women. And it was extremely beneficial and exciting because many of them came up with ideas. If you are interested, I can share their social businesses with you. Next, please. And those are also photos from the events. And I wanted to just highlight quickly that we had an equals group in past functioning, serving for 3 years. The main idea was to address and combat gender equality in Azerbaijan. Next slide, please. And we did it through different social projects, campaigns. First year, we organized Writes Not Flowers event on 8th of March, then Hikes Not Flowers, then Goals Not Flowers. Next. And you can see the first, the Goals Not Flowers hashtag was used for a campaign to basically break the stereotypes. And we organized a football game. Next. Then we organized hiking tour under the hashtag Hikes Not Flowers. And it was basically a tour for girls to the mountains to overcome some kind of challenges. Next. We organized also a feminist poetry night with the girls. Next. And our biggest legacy was this amazing social project that was funded by the Swiss Development and Cooperation Agency. It was Cesur Kızlar books, Stories for Brave Girls, a book that features 20 female local role models. Next. And we presented that book in 6 or 7 regions of Azerbaijan. Next, please. And around 5,000 parents and kids received it. Next, please. And the next slide. These are some photos. I just wanted to highlight that there are also sustainable development goals that you might use as a guideline for yourself. I am basically tackling gender equality, the 5th sustainable goal. Next, please. Yeah, that's it. And that's pretty much it from my side. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. And here are my contacts that you can use to ask questions or any help or assistance. Yeah.
Thank you, Zuma. That was, wow, that was a lot. I enjoyed hearing a lot about it. I have a question for you, actually, like just stemming from this presentation, okay? Let's say I'm passionate about some kind of social goal, okay, or an idea even, okay? For example, I mean, you mentioned that, okay, how do we go about doing social action, you know, and that business is not always about capitalism. Let's say I love capitalism. I actually do. And how do I go about promoting this idea, right? How do I reach to the right people? How do I talk to the media? How do I, you know, organize my marketing about it? Do you have any like sort of ideas about that? Starting from zero.
Thank you so much for your question. It's actually very interesting. I myself am in a learning process. I did start my basically bag selling through eBay, which is the platform obviously known to many people, and it's very convenient and easy to use. I think advertising through YouTube is an amazing opportunity. Many people don't know that YouTube is awesome tool for advertising anything, literally, and you pay no big fee. Instagram, I paid the other day $6 to promote one post, just like basically looking how it works, and it works amazing. Like basically I got like 600 views, and each viewer cost me $1 in a way. Not even less, because they promoted it for 6 days. So that's kind of the tools that you can use. I agree with Tatyana Hanım, as she said, the main thing is to start something. Then you can use a lot of tools to promote it at many available platforms. I would say when you promote an idea, I personally love investing into stories, and I do feel good when I buy product of some person who put effort and their heart into it. I am personally trying to shop locally. I'm trying to support those people. I love local designers, and I do think that it's a very important start and change in the mindset of people. I know a lot of Georgian people. Georgia is the very close country to us. They invest in their designers, and they support them, and their designers are doing amazing. They're going on the international level. So if we start just supporting what we have locally, that will bring a lot of change and benefit to everybody, both financially and socially. I do understand when it comes to big companies, capitalism, it's very difficult to change the system. I totally agree. But I personally don't see it as a sustainable system. And obviously it creates a big contrast between people. A lot of people are left behind. That's the idea I promote, I support. You might as well not agree, but I do think that deep in heart, we all feel happy when we actually help people whenever we can.
Hey, you know, I can disagree with lots of people about different ideas, but I'll defend your right to always say what you think.
I also, just before you continue, I was going to recommend 2 books that helped me in a way. This book, Originals, is extremely interesting book. It will help you to develop original way of thinking. You won't regret your time, basically, the time spent on this book. And it has a very great quote here. A great idea is a great start, but it's what you do next that counts. So next steps are more important. And this book, I started watching Nasty Girl TV series on Netflix. Gosh, but during quarantine, we all probably watch a lot of stuff. And I got inspired actually by her. She started her business through eBay, selling vintage clothes and then changing them and stuff. She did sell her business idea to big capitalism. Basically, she sold herself to capitalism. But it's a very inspirational character, and I do recommend to girls to read about her. That's pretty much it. I talked a lot, sorry.
Tatyana Hanım, I want to bring you into conversation. Okay, what do you think about marketing and promoting your own business? I asked Zuma this question as well. Let's say I have a good idea, right? And let's just say, for the argument's sake, that I love capitalism as an idea. How do I promote this socially and maybe galvanize people around the idea to make sure I can implement it at a higher level?
Well, I won't be telling you what kind of society I'm supporting. Probably any sort of the society which is giving the opportunity for the person for self-realization. Okay, whatever it's called, whether it's capitalism, socialism, whatsoever it is, wherever the person is born and can can let herself or himself make what they want to do. I mean, I totally support that community. Now, as for your question, I think in your question, you did have the keywords of the answers. Okay, so you talked about the audiences. You talked about somebody who is speaking on your behalf, i.e. in communication, we call it the ambassadors. The ambassadors who will be talking your messages. And here's the key: develop the message. What kind of message you want to deliver? With your product or with your service or with your idea, what kind of message you want to bring? And that's related not only to the social enterprising, that's related to any sort of the promotion in politics, that's the same. Key messages is something, unfortunately, which is being missed out of the communication. Once you're clear of the key messages, you start building up the communication campaign, wherever it is, whether it's digital or offline, or you're engaging the ambassadors, or you're engaging the someone who will be delivering to the other audiences. Again, the stakeholders and a key message. Once you're ready with that, you need to buy your message yourself. If you're not buying that, nobody's going to buy it. You need to believe in that fully, okay? And I do believe, when you believe in that, when you would think that if you would be someone from outside, you would buy your product, somebody else will buy it. If you don't believe in that, nobody else will buy it.
Right, and following up on that, okay. You both of you, okay, we can start with Tatyana Hanım and then move to Zumrud. Both of you have worked with media a lot, right? And that's including traditional media. I've seen you on TV, right? And we know that, especially in Azerbaijan, it's not always easy to get to TV for just about anybody. I wasn't on TV, so just asking you from about your experience, right? So how do you get support and buy-in from the media? So how do you basically talk to the media and get them interested in your social projects or in your commercial businesses to make sure that this part of the equation is also covered, right? It's not only about, for social media, we know, right? Like Zuma mentioned, you can promote your own stuff. But for more traditional media, which still reaches a lot of people, I can tell you from my experience at the British Council that a lot of people do watch TV. So how do you get support from the media? Tatyana Hanım, can we start with you?
Media is people. Media are people, okay? And people are not interested in the product or the service. They're interested in the stories. So if you build up the story, if you have a story, you can easily deliver that. You can make it interesting for the media. Talk to the journalists, see what would be an interest to them. Don't sell them the air. What are you changing again? Any sort of the project, any sort of the service, any sort of the product is to solve some sort of the issue, okay? Because even the bulbs, light bulbs, okay, we are bringing the light, okay? So build a story around that, and it will be easy to to talk to the journalists, because that will be something which will engage, because journalists are looking for the stories which will be interesting to the audience. They are interested in the ratings, okay? They are interested in the people watching them. If you have nothing interesting, there will be no fun. We've got lots of the paid stories, come on, and nobody is watching them. Lots of the budgets are overflowing, and I see it every single day, including the financial sector. Look at the banks, which are paying for press release about opening number 75, branch somewhere. What is the story about? I mean, what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Are we like tackling something? Is that branch going to hire people from the region and tackle the unemployment issue? Are they going to be educating someone there? How are they going to be? What are they going to bring to the economy? And it is related to everything. I've seen the beautiful bags. Zuma, I didn't know that you're doing the bags. They're absolutely stunning. I mean, that's a story. That's a story which you can bring forward. And I can see right here Nargis, who's saying how can teaching entrepreneurship and innovation can be developed at the universities. Oh, Nargis, I do remember our last conference. That was a flying conference. When and thanks for the invitation. British Council invited me to be one of the panelists, and the audience was full of the people from the education. And when I started talking, I said that today's education is dead. It is dead as it is because we need to develop the new forms, both for the kids and for the adult and for overgrowns. So bringing teaching the entrepreneurship, we need to bring the role models. We need to bring the successful entrepreneurs, people to the kids to show them that the things are possible. I mean, theory is fine, but theory is getting so much outdated quickly right now, fast, because things are changing around. Look, we couldn't make the services digital for so many years, and all of a sudden, within several months, that's it, because we needed that. I mean, humans are like this. When we need to solve something, when we need to adapt to something, we're doing that. So bring those, successful entrepreneurs to the kids. And innovation. What is innovation? Until now, I have the question mark a lot of the innovation projects, because, what is really the innovation? But yes, I mean, we need to change the programs at the universities. Otherwise, we will get we will be stuck in those diplomas again, one by one, which will not be solving anything in the economy.
Absolutely. Zuma, 3 things for you. Okay. First of all, I've just realized what your shirt was, and as a big supporter of the environment, and I mean,
repeat.
Right. It's one of the most important things, I think, facing the world right now. And I think it's also one of the things that each one of us can focus on. And even from the commercial capitalist, if you like, perspective, right? Right now, if you open a business that supports the preservation of the environment, and there's a big push for green energy and other kinds of businesses right now, right? I think that's where you can attract a lot of media attention. You can attract a lot of funding and, a lot of social push for it, right? So 2 questions for you. One is about talking and galvanizing the media, something I asked Tatyana Hanum. And the second is actually right down there below, a question by my wonderful colleague Nargis, actually, about, entrepreneurship and innovation at universities. And, you have a lot to compare because you've taught at an Azerbaijani university and you've studied at a UK university, right? University of Bristol, my fellow alumna, right, represent.
Yes.
So, yeah, over to you.
So coming to media, I can bring an example that might be kind of an answer, some kind of an answer to your question. I'm mentoring girls from Tavuz and Baku at the moment, and it's Sarah's project, which she's piloting a mentorship program. And they came up with social projects, and we're trying to develop them into something profitable at the moment. One of the girls came up with the idea that in Tavuz there are a lot of talents, people are making something, like sewing, I don't know, making out of some materials, some products and all of that stuff. I suggested that she can do DIY projects, do-it-yourself projects in Tavuz, really mobilize people who are talented in drawing, making something out of wood, and it could be women and men. So it could be literally developing a table, let's say, and mobilizing people around this project. Then they have a sun which will be opening in Tavuz very soon, and they have a bud center. So I was recommending her, this is one way of selling your product and going into market. Another way, journalists are extremely interested in the stories. I totally agree with Tatyana Hanum. You have to have story behind if if it's a social project, basically. If it's a company and it develops products that people need, there is no need for basically a story, but just need. But here you have to have a story. And her story is basically helping her community to show their talents to other people of Azerbaijan. And this is kind of one approach. When you think of idea, you have to think about the existing possibilities around you. So in Tavuz, there is Asan, there is Abad, and then there is another market that she can enter afterwards. Another idea was of a girl who saw a terrible, who experienced a terrible situation when she was at her grandma's at the balcony. A girl committed suicide and fell on their balcony, and she saw that, and she got extremely traumatized in a way. It's a very vivid image in her mind, and she came up with the idea to create some kind of platform to talk about it. What I suggested her to do is to start podcast. Podcast is a very fresh kind of new thing in Azerbaijan still. It's not extremely popular, but I'm pretty sure at some point it will get, because people are going to work, they're driving, more women are driving cars. And while you're going to work, you can listen to something productive that you choose to instead of what radio presents you. And she started basically a podcast called Podcasting, basically podcasting for teenagers. And she's going to deliver all the concerns and topics that she's interested in with young teenagers. And that's kind of idea. We don't know yet how we're going to make profit out of it, but that's kind of idea. I'm bringing those examples just to show what you can do and how you can reach people, not necessarily traditional media. I totally agree. Once you have a story, content, a product, media will be interested in you itself. Traditional media, obviously. Other than that, when it comes to unis, I would like to inform you that there is Yunus Center in what is it called? University of Economics. And they do support social projects, social enterprises. I'm not sure how well they are doing. I can't really say because I'm not very well informed, but you might go and do your research and see if you can get any help from them. And then teaching at uni, I do know that obviously those students who are doing business or management, they do get this education. I do know that students who study sustainable development goals, there's a new specialty at unis, by the way, for your information, on sustainable development goals in Public Administration Academy, I think, and they do get some information, some knowledge about the entrepreneurship. But in total, I think the system is developing, making very slow steps. The implementation is very poor. There is very little funding around. We literally seek funding from international organizations like EU, USAID, British government, and it's quite sad. There should be opportunities from the governmental side as well. I know that Innovation Agency, I myself applied for it with an idea. They did have some project and pitching opportunities, but it's only available for 3 projects, and that's not that much, in my opinion. You might not know, but there is corporate social responsibility, which companies obliged to kind of follow in a way. And you can actually apply to BP, SOCAR, and other companies, Deloitte, EY, asking for some funding if your project is really cool, successful. And I mean, if you actually prove them that it's sustainable and successful, they might invest in you. So that's kind of some of the opportunities I could.
I would add on the social projects. Gwen Burchell just recently, with her, we started working on a new big project which is called the Hub, and that is directed, that is aiming to help the social startups which are tackling any sort of the SDG goals or any sort of the issues in a community. Because when the guys the girls have got the idea of the startup, they don't know what to start from, okay? And they need someone, either the mentor or the coach or someone in partnership with whom they could develop this sort of the initial steps because then you will need to go for the seed funding, then you need to go for like, probably for the venture investment if the project is like, great enough. So I would strongly recommend also like, probably to talk to her as well. And I'm sure she's on this session right now. Because it's far bigger rather than UAFA, which was really successful actually all those years. So it's going to be like getting again all those social startups together and helping them to promote, and with promotion of those, tackling the social issues.
Yeah, we're already at 1 hour, but I would like to cover 2 more things briefly if we can. And I would appreciate if Zumrud and Tatyana could stay for us for a little while, because these are the 2 comments really, that touch upon topics that I wanted to ask you about anyway, which just shows that what the audience thinks and what I planned is exactly the same, which is awesome and amazing. The first one is about supporting female businesses. And I know you've both been working towards that goal. So thank you for great and inspiring presentations. And can you suggest support systems to the female business owners in Azerbaijan? And Tatyana Hanum specifically, there wasn't a comment earlier about how can we join any of your projects, right? Are any of your projects sort of open to, and Zumrud, that's a question for you too. Are any of your projects sort of to open for application or any support from the outside audience, right? So can you please touch upon that in any order you'd like?
Okay, Azerbaijan Business Women is open basically to the women who are at the top executive level or the business owners at the different levels actually to join. And we did run the questionnaires. I think it's already, it's still like, on the Facebook. I'll try to make sure that like, it's visible. And yes, it's possible to join that because, we run a number of the projects which are helping like, to develop the business. We hopefully will run the second round of Accelerator for the women entrepreneurs. And I really love this project because like, that's a fantastic group of the women who are already like, done, self-made, etc. And they want to scale. The funniest thing that we've been teaching them how to scale the business while like, it was right before the quarantine. Now I think we need to like, to learn how to save the business, or probably like, how to shift the business, which is also like, the thing which will any sort of the challenge is an opportunity, any sort of the crisis is an amazing new opportunity as well. So yes, joining is possible. All you need is just like, write us down on our Facebook page, and it's like, it's open over there. If I asked that, unfortunately, there is another thing we're trying to tackle, and another thing we're trying to work on is changing the policies, which is really difficult, and Zuma knows more than me probably about this, because, in an ideal situation, we would have the female business schemes or female business, special conditions. And some of the companies, some of the banks are running that, like Rabita Bank used to have the very good project for the female business owners, providing the special loans. And some of the companies did that as well. Unfortunately, I don't see anything on the state level yet. And this is the ideal situation, which I'm like, what I'm striving for and trying to promote. And hopefully there will be, but it's all about like, all of us making enough of the effort to speak up about this, to make it like, out loud, instead of just sitting and waiting for the things to happen.
Right. Zuma, what about you?
Thank you very much. I would say, please join the Gender Talks Baku group, where we try to promote gender equality through discussions. It's a social learning process where we exchange information, and information is available to everyone, and we want people to be informed. I think we have very interesting discussions there that you can have access to. I personally need always marketing assistants, designers, and illustrators. I'm working on my webpage at the moment, where I will be selling courses, and I'm more than happy to welcome anyone who's looking for a job in a way, because at the moment I can't pay, but once things, it's kind of a startup. So once things work, I'm more than happy to pay for anybody's work. Another thing is that interesting point from Tatyana Khanum. We mentioned that you do need to have business model, but there's no successful formula for having a successful business model. You have always to be adaptable and flexible. Like COVID is something very unexpected, so you have to basically think of the business model that will work in this environment with these conditions. Yep. Another thing is, I would say there are some schemes that I came across, but I would say majority of them are asking for a working business already. So for a person who wants to start like myself, who are looking for funds, opportunities, I'm struggling quite a lot. I can't find any funds at the moment, and I would be more than happy if you share opportunities with me too. But I would say there are some schemes from the banks, I totally agree, holdings, banks, and companies that you should constantly follow and seek. You can email them as well. If your project needs, like, let's say 500 manat, they might be able to give it to you. So give it a go, give it a try, email them. Another thing is that there's a website called Kickstarter. You can basically post your idea there and see if you can raise funds and investments. And Facebook. I am planning to fundraise through Facebook at the moment, hoping that people will buy my story because I really work hard and I'm an accountable person. So I really hope to raise some funds for this bag business and puzzle business. So let's see how it goes. If I'll be successful, I'll definitely share my tools with you, approaches.
And one final comment, I will display it, and that's from Seb Razaiva. Thank you, Seb, for your comment. The right and quick way of bringing innovation to the vulnerable communities. I can even mention that one of British Council projects is actually aimed at that. It's called the Learning Hubs, where we bring quality English language and core skills teaching to different schools in the regions of Azerbaijan, and it's very important. You can read more about it on our website. Any floor over to you, Zuma and Tatyana.
Well, you just I think you answered half of this, which I wanted. To me, the key to solve this everything is education. Mm-hmm. I mean, education can can fix the thing. So when you're bringing the English language, for instance, imagine you're widening up the knowledge of people. And for me, when somebody is coming to me saying, "Oh, come on, you talk about English language all the time. How important is that?" I'm asking them to Google the same things in a local language, whatever the language is, and in English, okay, and to compare the number of the results, okay. So innovation is something which comes also when your brain is working constantly on on solving the problem. Etc. Look at those boys which were creating hydraulic machines in Africa. I was absolutely astonished by the project, okay? So the guy was simply on the internet and he was just Googling how to connect the different spare parts. He has never been to any STEAM modern classes, fashionable ones or expensive ones, no. All he did actually, he was on the internet with the right direction, with the knowledge of the language. So education, when I say the education, schools, yes, number one, but unfortunately the system is too big and too difficult to change. But education in terms of the soft skills, education in terms of talks to the entrepreneurs, talks to the successful people, talks to someone who will inspire them. And trust me, the inspiration is very important in those communities, especially vulnerable ones. Once they see someone they trust, once they see someone they see as a role model, they will be following that. And this is how the new breakthroughs are being born.
Mm-hmm. Zuma?
It's such a complicated question. The right and quick way, the right way is the one that will work, basically. And you never know what will work, because sometimes you come up with amazing project, but during the implementation, you see that it just doesn't work because there is something that you need to overcome first and prepare first and all this stuff. quick way, I would say through internet and apps. I do think that internet connection is not amazing, but people are still very much connected with each other through internet. I know that people actively use WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook as well. So that's kind of the way I see it to be right and quick. When I say quick, I mean internet. When I say right, it totally depends on the messages and the way you market things. I'm very unhappy with a lot of Azerbaijani companies, banks, and a lot of people who work there sending completely wrong messages to the communities, vulnerable communities, societies. They're making a lot of mistake during their wording, pictures that they use. I don't know. It just drives me crazy, to be honest. And there should be some kind of regulation to it, I believe, because they bring a lot of damage as well. I am not sure. I'm not great in innovations because it's still an area that I'm exploring in itself. Vulnerable communities do need education. They do need some knowledge, access to information. And unfortunately, I do agree that English is a key to a lot of information. But then how to learn that English, where to get this quality education. I taught at university and my English class was had a very poor level of English. And I had to teach gender studies, not English. So instead I had to 45 minutes teach them English and then 45 minutes teach them some academic knowledge. So I do think that we need foundation course, for example, whether it's at schools or at universities, especially at universities, foundation course in English. They are available, for example, at Baku State University, but you have to pay additional fee, which I think is not very good approach in a way. Government needs to fund these projects and programs. I do know that United States Embassy would support it, British Embassy would support it. It's just a lot of bureaucracy and lots of political economy and political relationships going on behind the scenes. So that's quite sad that those relationships affect and egocentric goals affect society's well-being and development. Innovation, again, through apps. I myself see an app, a new kind of approach to tackle a lot of issues in a way. People do know how to use apps. It's not very complicated. People do know how to download them. Majority of them are free. And I do think that computer literacy and English language are the keys as well. I do agree with Tatyana. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And of course, we at British Council, we also are doing everything to support that. And with regards to both questions, actually, so for entrepreneurship in education, obviously we have this wonderful program, which is really the umbrella program for these talks, called Creative Spark, and we're working with several institutions in Baku, several universities in the UK, and bringing them together to bring this quality entrepreneurship education to the classrooms. We've affected already thousands of students in Azerbaijan and many, many more across the world, because that's a program that runs in several countries. And the same, obviously, with learning hubs, where we're basically, mostly acting in remote areas of Azerbaijan, and also we're aiming this education at the, IDP communities in Azerbaijan. We're working with several other countries as well. And, speaking about innovation, I think this is such a good time for innovation. Last year, learning hubs, most of the teaching was face-to-face, right? And now, because of the situation, we had to move everything online. And because of this, kids in very far away cities of Azerbaijan, like Barda, like Beylagan, like Lankaran, Zakatala, some who didn't have an internet connection before, now are doing all of their classes online, which is amazing, right? This period, I think, affects all of us, just to round off, because, even for me, right, we had a question about using this service for streaming, right? I didn't know how to use it before the pandemic because I didn't need to, right? And if I wanted to something like that, we would have invited Tatyana Khanom and Zumrud to a face-to-face sort of meeting, right, with a photographer and a videographer and these kind of things, and they would have done it by themselves. But now with this situation, right, I'm like, okay, how can we bring the voices of inspiring and amazing people the voices of amazing women entrepreneurs to the big screen, right? And have people watch them either live or through a recording later. And I was like, how can we do that, right? And we started exploring this program. And sometimes you don't even need to invest money to explore this program. Everything depends on your skill, right? And now we're having this amazing session. And I think it's been so inspiring, and I think we've heard that in comments as well, to hear from Tatyana and Zumrud. I really enjoyed the presentations. Sorry, Zumrud, I was like skipping slides and stuff like that.
No worries. Can I just wrap up quickly? To say, I do think that the locals need to translate a lot of data into Azerbaijani. I do support that totally. I myself try to train a lot in Azerbaijani language. It's like both, basically. They need to learn English, but we also need to translate a lot of data into Azerbaijani because that's the national language, that's the widely used language in the country. I do recommend Jafar Najafov, who's my colleague and who's also the winner of the Entrepreneurship Award, actually, in 2019. He's running an amazing blog in Azerbaijani, sharing data on how to start entrepreneurship, how to do e-commerce, how to make money, how to advertise, and all this stuff. So I highly recommend check him out. Yeah. And thank you very much for having me.
Jafar was one of the first speakers in this series, actually. For the first session, Jafar was.
I enjoy his blog. It's
so I would like to think that I gave him the idea, but you know. Tatyana Hanım, any final words from you before we wrap up?
Well, I do believe in multiplication effect, okay? I do believe that the knowledge is nothing until you share that, okay? So every time, and that happens used to happen in offline events and right now in online events, especially when it is about the girls and the women, I'm always asking to look around and to see if there is anyone at all who might need your support in any sort of things, okay? It could be like, you know, family issues, or it could be just an inspiration. Someone where you could say like, you know, okay, if you do this and this, that will help. Or if you like, you know, if you will, I mean, do it, just don't be afraid. And like failures, we have never been taught the failures, okay? We were taught, especially for the girls, that the failure is the full shame for all of your life, which is not the case, okay? So again, if you have a knowledge, any sort of the knowledge, please share it further. If you have anyone in your community, in your neighborhood, in your friendship, you know, circle, please make sure that you do inspire them, you do support them, or you do support them with like, you know, any sort of the just words, okay? And again, thank you for bringing that session. I always love and enjoy, like, you know.
Sharing is caring, isn't it?
Absolutely,
like, let's care about each other. And let's support me too.
Yeah, so, you know, good, absolutely best of luck to you. And like, you know, I'm sure you will go further. I mean, you guys are rocking, and keep doing that.
Thank you both. Tatyana Hanım, I think we met briefly during one of the British Council organized events in the past, but I think this is the first time we actually had a long enough conversation, and I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much on behalf of the British Council. Zuma, you know, you're one of my favorite people ever, right?
Same here.
Good luck in your projects. I'm bringing a new kind of screen to round off because I can.
Yeah.
And
are you dragging it with, like, you know, right now?
You know what? We need your skills. You need to share your skills too with people. So
absolutely. I'm planning to talk a bit more during one of those sessions, even though people have heard a lot from me already. So thank you to all of our audience for watching. Thank you for you know, all the students who watched and everybody who will watch after the recording. I know lots of audience comes and watches it after it's over, which is okay because people are driving home from work, etc. So Zuma, thank you. Tatyana Hanım, thank you. And Creative Spark talks like this one will be back again, I think, next week. Okay, this is a regular thing. And on Tuesday, we have an arts talk. I know you've already enjoyed 2 of these. And on Wednesdays, we run talks about higher education. Once again, all the information is on social media. We're doing things 3-4 times a week. So please watch us, and, you know, hopefully this will help you on your journey towards entrepreneurship, towards your career, or starting your own projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care
of yourselves.
Bye-bye.
Bye.